Hey, Boomer.
Hey, good morning, man. Sorry about yesterday's loss, man. What a dud of a second half, huh?
There was so much promise, so much hope, and and so much anticipation, and unfortunately, it didn't go so well when it comes to Mike Vrabel's debut as a head coach of the New England Patriots.
Yeah, well, I will say this. Remember, it's the opposite of last year. Everybody got all excited about beating the Bengals, and then all of a sudden, it went off the rails. I don't necessarily know this is going to be the case for the Patriots. It was really a disappointing second half, especially from the offensive standpoint. I mean, and even Drake May said it after the game. They got to generate more offense. The quarterback's job is to put points on the board and create plays. And it's almost like they forgot that there was a second half to be played. And just watching it, it was like a slog. They couldn't get anything right, and there was a little bit of pressure. And he throws the interception, and all of a sudden the game turns. And it was a tight game. It wasn't a great football game for any by any stretch of the imagination, but Mike Vrabel will have to do something just to kind of get these guys juiced up at halftime and get them ready to play in the second half, especially the offense.
Well, it was when you look at halftime. Did Pete Carroll adjust better than Mike Vrabel adjusted?
I just think Pete Carroll and Geno Smith know each other really well. Geno is not afraid to throw the ball down the field. I don't know about adjustments. I just always wonder in the first month of the season how teams handle coming out at halftime because they're not used to it, especially in game one and game two. Now, some teams do it better than others. Some teams, have a level of confidence and experience like the Buffalo Bills did last night, which was amazing what they did. But I just think that it looked to me like the offense never got on a roll in the second half. And it's almost like they were like in a fog, or I can't explain it other than, they need Red Bull at halftime or 5-hour energy or something at halftime to wake them up to start playing.
Boomer, an issue that Drake May had last season was the fact that he tried to force plays, tried to make something happen, and that's where his mistakes came into. Is that what we're seeing now once again?
I don't know about that. I mean, the interception that he threw, I mean, he had, I think it was Max Crosby right in his face. And, those guys are there to disrupt the quarterback, much like Micah Parsons did yesterday to Matthew Stafford. So it's one game. I'm not going to overreact to it. I'm just going to say that in the second half next week against Miami, they need to come out with more of a purpose, more of an understanding, a better game plan. I just think that, the experience of Geno Smith and Pete Carroll won out over the inexperience of Drake May. That's the way I would look at it, especially in the second half. Like I said, it wasn't a great offensively played game by either side. If you ask me who had the slight edge, of course it would be Geno Smith, simply because he threw for over 300 yards. But, the fact that the score was as low as it was, that doesn't surprise me, simply because I think both offenses are obviously a work in progress.
Boomer, you said you're not going to overreact. Well, talk some of my friends off the ledge who are saying it's time for Tommy Cutlets. What does Drake May need to do as a starting quarterback in his second year or his first starting season to show that he can be consistent throughout the game?
All right, so you said the word consistent. You got to have more first downs. You can't be so bad on third down. The other thing too, and it's simple for me to say, but when I watch quarterbacks around the league, what do they have to generate points. They have to put points on the board. It's something that both Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers did yesterday. Daniel Jones did it yesterday against a flat Miami team. I mean, that's their job. Their job is to get their team in the end zone. And I don't know if there's I wouldn't want to say a disconnect, because I don't think there's a disconnect. I think it's one game. I think it was a very flat second half performance. And I think that consistent word is probably the most important thing. I mean, that's how you generate points. You generate conversions on third down. You're not sloppy. There's no penalties. There's no false starts. And that's a guy that has to really take charge. I always believe that these quarterbacks are better after they, have some teaching moments. And I think there's going to be quite a few teaching moments that Josh McDaniels is going to have at his fingertips. It was amazing to me. I saw a stat, and I believe this is a true stat. Something about the Patriots have lost 21 games in the last 4 years, and I guess at home. And I think that I want to say that the Patriots didn't lose 21 games at home with Tom Brady as a quarterback. Is that right?
It was 24 games at home since 2021. And so
Tom Brady was 141-24 at home in the regular season.
That is insane. But again, it goes back to the brilliance of the quarterback. We can talk about the coach, we can talk about all the good players around him, but ultimately, that is the pinnacle of success when you think about it. And it's one of the reasons why fans get so frustrated with the quarterbacks that have tried to replace Tom Brady. They don't have that.
A lot of eyes yesterday on Will Campbell, obviously, and gave up the strip sack. And then when they were there trying to get the 4th and 4, the procedure penalty. What do you look at when it comes to that rookie?
He's a rookie and he's learning, and he'll get better. I thought he had a really good training camp. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's a kid that really cares. I'm sure this is one of the kids that after the game was over and last night he was home thinking about it, was probably having nightmares. They have a pretty good damn defense over there in Las Vegas. You don't really think of it much because of all the changes that they've gone through and the losing that they've done. But they do have a very good pass rush. And for the most part, if you're going to drop back 46 times, which to me is a little bit of a silver lining. As much as I would love to have a much more balanced offense by the Patriots, throwing 46 times is not really going to be the way that they're going to want to go forward. I do think, however, that's the silver lining. The more Drake Maye throws, the more comfortable he'll become. So I know if it weren't for that last drive of the game, their offense was just horrendous in the second half. So they're going to have to figure out a way to come out of that second half next week against Miami and, play a full 4-quarter game as opposed to a half of a game.
So when it comes to throwing 46 passes or somewhere around 50 passes, is that a recipe for disaster when you're asking that of your second-year quarterback?
Yes. It was interesting watching some of the games yesterday and looking at some of the offensive, I guess, would you say, theories or what they wanted to do with their teams. Like Justin Fields threw the ball, I believe, 22 times. And, he ran the ball probably another half a dozen times. And he didn't turn the ball over. And I thought Tanner Engstrom, their offensive coordinator that came from Detroit, had a hell of a game. I gave him an A+ as a play caller because he actually set what the Jets wanted to be, and that is a run team first, play action team second, and keep the decision making to a minimum for his quarterback who's learning his fourth offense in 4 years. So that's what you want. You want balance. You want to be able to set the tone for your team. And I don't think Josh McDaniels and Drake Maye did that at all yesterday.
The biggest blunder to me yesterday was by Coach Mike Vrabel with the decision to punt down 10 at midfield with less than 5 minutes left in the game. I just thought that was an awful, weak decision by a guy that I thought was going to be a little more aggressive. How did you view that?
I would think that he'd be more aggressive also early on in his tenure here with New England, and he'll learn as well. He's 6-19 in his last 25 games as a head coach, so there's been a lot of losing going on for him. But again, it's one game. It's a game that I don't want to overreact to. I mean, if they come back this week and they drill Miami, which looks like Miami is just. I don't know what's going on down there. I mean, this is a game where they have to win. I mean, Mike Vrabel's got to figure out a way to get one more point than Miami this week. And I can't even believe I'm saying this in week 2. But given the fact that Mike McDaniel's team looked awful yesterday, it looked like they were completely out of sync and let Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts score on every single possession is insane. So, you're walking into probably a hornet's nest. That's probably how Vrabel and the Patriots are probably going to look at this going into Miami. But I think, you got Miami down right now. You got to put your heel right on their throat, and you got to set it, and you got to leave it there for 4 freaking quarters.
Among the guys who didn't look happy on the sidelines yesterday, with not only Tyreek Hill, but Malik Neighbors yelling at his head coach on the sidelines. Week 1, is that an issue for the Giants?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, a wide receiver having drama fits on the sideline. How about that, Jermaine, right? We're used to that. Jesus. I mean, I think Brian Daboll's got He's hearing it now. Instead of the same old Jets, you're hearing the same old Giants now. And I mean, you could have predicted that Russell Wilson was going to get off to a start like this just simply because he's so careful and he doesn't create and generate the plays that he used to when he was younger. I mean, he can still play, and he can still play at a pretty good level, but this is not what the Giants need, nor what the Giant fan wants. And, it's interesting. We haven't heard from ownership at all in regards to like what's going on here in terms of the quarterback situation and whether or not they're going to force him to go to Jackson Dart. I would not be surprised if he makes a decision in the middle of this week or somewhere along the line that Jackson Dart is going to be the starting quarterback, because if Russell Wilson continues to play this way and that offense looks as flat as it did yesterday and Malik Neighbors is doing what he's doing, Giant fans have seen enough already.
Boomer, I think the biggest thing watching this Patriots game, you tell me from your former player perspective, is who's the guy on offense that scares you? At least the Raiders, they have a guy like Brock Bowers. It seems like every team has that guy. Who is the guy for New England? Because I feel like if you're a defensive coordinator, there's nobody that concerns you like that.
Very well said, Jermaine. I just think you have a lot of really good football players. I don't think you have game-breaking, game-changing players. That's the problem. And I think they tried to deal with that with Steph Diggs, and, he's just still trying to figure it out. I mean, you look around the league and you look at all these teams and you look at how many great players and how many explosive players there are. And when you look at a game, you say, okay, who had the most explosive plays? And Geno Smith created more explosive plays than Drake Maye did. Drake Maye's supposed to be that guy. I mean, let's face it, Tom Brady had great players around him, didn't have always the greatest players around him, but of course, Gronkowski and Randy Moss and Julian Edelman and Wes Welker and on and on and on became great players, because Tom Brady made him into great players. I think Randy Moss was already a great player, just needed a little bit refinement, and he got that with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. But there's nobody like that on the New England roster as we speak right now, at least hasn't shown themselves to be that kind of player.
Question of the week for Boomer is brought to you by McFarland Energy, the region's most dependable provider of home heating oil delivery and expert HVAC services. And you can find them at McFarlandEnergy.com. Based on what he said post-game, I feel like Aaron Rodgers may have unfollowed the Jets on social media.
Yes. He got the last laugh, though, I'll tell you that. I mean, although one of those touchdown passes was one of those little pop passes, which I don't think should count, for God's sake. I don't think I ever had one of those in my career. So I was actually happy for him because he went through a lot of hell here. He tried to do everything he possibly could to help the team win. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I will also say there is a silver lining for the Jets. The Jets actually look like a real football team again under Aaron Glenn. And like I said, their offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrom, did a hell of a job with Justin Fields yesterday. So I'm pretty bullish on Aaron Glenn right now. And I feel like his team looks like the real deal. It looks like they are different from where they were last year. But certainly very happy for Aaron Rodgers to be able to do what he did yesterday.
Is the league ever going to do anything to stop Patrick Mahomes from using the sideline to his advantage?
I think more and more people are aware of it, and what he did against the Chargers should have been a penalty. I mean, it really should have been. Once the quarterback, in other words, the competition committee's got to look at this. Once the quarterback gets to the sideline and it looks like he's giving himself up, then all of a sudden he should have the same protections as if he's in the pocket. But what Patrick does, it looks like he's giving himself up and then lowers his shoulder. That should be a penalty against him.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think other defensive players are going to see that and be more incentivized to maybe not be gentle to Mahomes on the sideline next week or down the road this season?
I still think defensive players are worried about getting fined and penalized. I think it's until they throw the flag on a quarterback that does that. I still think players are going to be very, very careful because they don't want to be penalized, but they certainly don't want to be fined either.
Treat it like the fake slide. If a quarterback fake slides, it's a penalty, so you treat it the same way as that. Yeah,
that would be the easiest way to do it. Now, I don't know. How would you interpret what he did against the Chargers? I mean, could an official actually make that call, you think?
Yeah, because he looked like he was going out of bounds. You could tell the difference Boomer, you've been there before as a guy who is like, all right, I'm trying to get out of bounds to get hit versus a guy who's trying to lower his shoulder.
Yeah, and the difference was that they actually did hit us out of bounds and did not have a flag thrown at them. So, I mean, part of me says really good by Patrick Mahomes, but the other part of me sees a different side of it from a frustrating anti-Chief fan perspective. So I totally get what we're talking about here.
Well, they got to get him to the Super Bowl if Taylor Swift is playing halftime. They can't have that Super Bowl if she's there without them there. So,
well, you guys know it's Super Bowl 60, right? So she's got to be playing. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
What, was this a numerology thing that I don't get? Like, is it 13?
No,
it's Super Bowl
13
60.
13 times 7 or what?
Her new album has the same color scheme as Super Bowl. This year.
Oh, no, it
See,
doesn't.
Yes, it
Courtney's
does.
all over it. She knows it. She knows it.
Yep.
Yeah. She's the Adam Schefter of Taylor Swift.
Truly.
All right, Boomer, thank you. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, guys, look forward to it.